I'll mute if I'm not talking.
Wear your headphones.
Garoppolo. Thrown down. Brian Burns gets there. Spider-Man.
What a pass rush by Burns. See how quickly he got to the edge and got
This is Desmond Johnson on the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast, here on the Bleav Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. Do you Bleav? If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. We're available in your favorite directories: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can also find us at Bleav.com and at Bleav Podcast on Twitter.
And welcome into a brand new edition of the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by Sports Illustrated beat writer Schuyler Callihan and the Panthers' all-time leading rusher, Jonathan Stewart. You can catch us every week, brand new episodes throughout the season here on the Bleav podcast networks. Maybe we got a little bit to talk about. Panthers Panthers lose 24-10 week 1 to the Atlanta Falcons. We'll chop that up. Of course, we're going to start off this episode with what happened last night in the Monday Night Football game, Jets and Bills. Of course, the big news in the NFL this week is Aaron Rodgers and what happened last night. We'll get you situated with that. Actually, we might get an official notification while we are on live. We'll be here with you probably till about 10:30. Today, Tell the Truth Tuesday, something new will start going on throughout the season. What is something that we saw individually from the Panthers that you didn't expect to see, good or bad, from this previous game on Sunday? We'll give you the latest from the Brian Burns contract situation, perspective on the Falcons. Good team, or did Carolina just give one away? A Saints preview as the Panthers will take on the Falcons on Monday Night Football. I didn't realize there's 2 Monday Night Football games this Monday. We're actually at 7 o'clock on ESPN, and there's another one on ABC and ESPN Plus. So there are 2 Monday Night Football games this Monday night. And then, of course, it's regular season. So that usually means we've got enough stuff that we've seen where we can do our Tell Them Why You're Mad.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why we mad, son. I'm going to tell you why we mad, son.
You can participate in that if you're watching the show. If you're watching us live, you can go to youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio or the Facebook watch page for Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Comment in the comment section, and we'll respond to it live. Appreciate everybody that's been following us, and everybody that's been supporting the show and the Bleav podcast networks. Before we get into anything else, though, let's hear real quick from our friends over at Bet Online. Bet Online, football is back. Sorry, I'm reading off a really small font. Football is back, and Bet Online is your #1 information source for all your sports wagering info with up-to-the-minute stats, news, scores, and matchup breakdowns. Get the latest game odds, spreads, and totals from the NFL and college football at your fingertips with BetOnline's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. From week 1 all the way to the college football playoff and Super Bowl, BetOnline gives you access to the best football promotions and contests available anywhere online. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And where we start is with that man in New York, Aaron Rodgers. 4 snaps. Had 4 snaps and then went down. I was actually doing a high school coaches show at a brewery in Greensboro that had like TVs up everywhere. So they had the Monday Night Football game up, and a friend ran over and told us what had happened. We started watching what was going on, and I got a chance to kind of see it. And on Twitter, they had the angle like right on top of his calf, and you can kind of see it coil, I guess. So it kind of, at that point, I kind of knew, because there was people asking me, like, well, would he be able to walk off the field if it was an Achilles? And my first thought was, Kobe Bryant shot 2 free throws with a torn Achilles and walked back to the bench. Like, you can walk with a torn Achilles. It's just, I think he described it like, it's like your foot doesn't have any pullback. Like, it's literally just kind of almost dangling there, because there's the Achilles, it almost rolls up your leg, kind of like a fruit roll up. What were your guys' thoughts on this? Because that was an emotional game. I got home and I wasn't even going to watch it because Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing anymore. And I knew that Zach Wilson was out there. And I was like, I don't know if I want to watch a rock fight. And I came back and watched the second half. I'm kind of glad I did, because it actually turned into a pretty entertaining game. Stu, let me get your thoughts on this, being a former player and being in situations where you've been hurt yourself. You've had key players, teammates that have been hurt at points of a season where it wasn't suitable. What's the vibe like with the Jets, you think, this morning?
This morning, I mean, they're confident. They're a good team. They're a good team without Aaron Rodgers. And they know how to, get through adversity. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's one of the things that you go into a season hoping doesn't happen. Like, you hope that your starting quarterback, your franchise guy, does not go down with a season-ending injury. And it happened. And, we're going to see a lot of these types of things happen throughout the year for a lot of teams where, one moment changes the trajectory of, the entire football season for some teams. What I think for the Jets, what they proved last night was, no, we're just fine. We've been here before. We have Zach Wilson. And I think at the end of the day, too, like, they might be in a better situation than they were last year with Zach Wilson being under Aaron Rodgers for the time that he's been able to be there. And now, if Aaron Rodgers is rehabbing around, the stadium and still showing up to meetings and stuff like that, that's a mentor that you have in your hip pocket. So if I'm the Jets, I'm not totally discouraged. I'm encouraged, and it's go time. You don't have time to sit around and, feel sorry for yourself and feel sorry for, that position and for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, yeah, everybody hates that he's hurt, but these guys got a job to do, and they got to show up today, watch film, heal up, and get back after it, for the rest of the week and for the rest of the season.
I thought it was pretty cool to watch the Jets rally, like, in that game, like, to see that team be up here. Like, this is 8 months of just anticipation of this dude, and for, like, that stadium just deflated. Like, there was no juice in that stadium after that happened for a while, not just immediately after, but good hour and a half, 2 hours later. It still felt like that when I came back to the game late in the third. Schuyler, your thoughts here on this? Because our predictions are wild. I don't even want to go off of ours. I don't want to look at ours because ours are all over the place. But we had the Jets as one of the teams getting into the playoffs in the AFC. The AFC is stacked, and we left some teams out. Like, I realized we left San Diego out. Can the Jets do this with Zach Wilson at quarterback? Because it feels like we're going to get an announcement here in a little bit, and I'm watching Twitter while we're doing this, that Rodgers is probably done for the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely can. Like Stu said, this is a loaded roster. And, we saw it last year with San Francisco, and they had all those quarterbacks they're rotating into the mix because of all the injuries they had, and they still made it deep into the playoffs. They're one game away from the Super Bowl. So I think when you have a roster that talented, you don't necessarily have to have the Aaron Rodgers guy at quarterback. Now, obviously, it'd be nice to have one of those types of dudes, but you can get by without it as long as you play clean football. And I think you could look at it, and it's very easy for Jets fans to look at this as the glass half empty, but you could look at it as this is maybe a good thing, because this will give you your answer on Zach Wilson sooner than later, because now you don't have to worry about what the succession plan is like after Aaron Rodgers is done playing. Because if he looks good now, you're going to know that that's your guy moving forward. Where if he goes out there and it's just a struggle bus every single week and he's throwing picks, the team's not playing competitive football offensively, then when Aaron's done, you got to find somebody else. So I think this is almost a good thing for the Jets in terms of, now obviously you don't want to ever have your guy go down, but this is a good thing for them to get that evaluation. Like Stu said, he's going to have Aaron in his back pocket this entire time, feeding him all these tips and advice. And I thought he looked pretty decent in the preseason. And who knows how much of that was just because Aaron is here and helping him in practice. But I would also say if for the Jets, what they want out of Zach Wilson is for them to really make it tough to go back to Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying that he's going to supplant Aaron as the starter next season. But what I'm saying is if he goes out and throws 33 touchdowns and only 7 picks, 4,000 some yards, and they win 13 games and they go to the AFC Championship, that's hard to go and make a change, even if it is Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's hard to make that change. You want that type of success. You want them, or you want Zach to make it a very difficult decision, even though we all know the truth. It's going to go back to Aaron.
If I'm Zach Wilson, I'm taking this as an opportunity to go out there and lay it all on the line.
He was the number 2 overall pick 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like, and we kind of put him on the trash sheet off of really 1 year where the team wasn't really ready yet to elevate, and they built it around Aaron instead of Zach. And I agree, from watching Hard Knocks, it did feel like Zach Wilson kind of took a maturity leap over the past year with Aaron Rodgers there. And if Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the building rehabbing, and that's a whole other question too. Does he rehab? Like, does he come back for another year after this? Because an Achilles is a long rehab, and like a 6 to 8 month type deal. And that's when you're like,
oh yeah. I mean, this could be something that affects him long term. And at his age, I mean, you got to wonder. I mean, he thought about retiring the last 2 seasons. So who knows? I mean, how crazy would that be that all this hype, all this expectations for the Jets to get Aaron Rodgers, they finally get him, and maybe he only plays 4 snaps ever.
That's crazy.
That would be nuts.
That would be nuts.
And that's the thing too. Like, just watching, I felt it not just Jets fans, but like football fans. We were just all kind of like, "Oh, really?"
All the energy just sucked out.
Yeah,
a lot of long faces and tough. It's a tough deal.
It reminded me, it's not exactly the same thing, but Stu, I think you were on this team, the 2006 Panthers. After no, were you not there yet?
Man, that's a long time ago, bro. From 2008, man.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So it was the year, because the year before we didn't have any running backs. That's why we lost the NFC Championship game. Like, everybody got hurt. Nick Goins got hurt. Like, everyone was hurt. And it was the Steve Smith Triple Crown year where he won receiving yards, touchdowns, receiving yards, and catches, and dismantled the Bears in the playoffs. They got to the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks and ran out of running backs. Seahawks went to the Super Bowl. The next year, the Panthers were like the darling pick to get to the Super Bowl because of what they did. And that first game against Green Bay, it was a Monday Night Football game. Steve Smith broke his leg, and he was out for the whole year. And we went into like this 1-7 slide. Like, we just could not get out of our own way. Now, I will say Jake Delhomme and Moose Muhammad, they got turned around, and they actually made a run towards the end of the year where they were threatening to get in the playoffs. And they got to the point where they were that team you didn't really want to see in December because they got in a roll. This Jets team is way more equipped to sustain this. If they play the way they played last night, that defense, I don't know if it was Josh Allen or the Jets, but I think it was more Josh Allen.
I feel like I saw some glimpses of last year towards the end of the season of Josh Allen, which was like him just not seeming like he was confident in where he was throwing and what he was doing. And I saw that throughout the whole game. So it could just be a mixture of both, like usual.
He had a couple of times where he was running the ball and would not get down. And even Troy said it on the call. He was like, man, you got to get down, man. Like, there was one where 2 Jets, I think it was Quentin Williams and somebody else, like, literally hit him like this as he was running. He had no thought process of getting down whatsoever. He just took the hit, sprung up, and went back to the huddle. And I even on my couch was like, oh. And then Troy was like, man, Josh Allen's got to learn to get down on the ground, man. I know he's the size of a defensive end, but even Cam would get down. You know what I mean? Like, he would get on the ground. Like, he would truck a guy if he needed to, but he wasn't like, it wasn't his mentality to just not think about falling down. And Josh Allen's getting into that category. I feel like we've given a lot of smoke to Dak Prescott for being loose with the football and nitpicking his game. We probably should start nitpicking Josh Allen, shouldn't we? Because he's kind of been riding this coattail of past 3 years of success with the Bills, and he's a less than 60% completion passer. He's reckless with his body. Like, literally, he throws his body into defenders, and he's reckless with the football. Like, he had 3 interceptions to the same dude last night. Like, I mean, that takes a lot of talent to throw the ball to the same guy in the secondary 3 times. Bryce tried to do it on Sunday, but he only got 2. But hey, Josh Allen is a pro. He got to that guy 3 straight.
That's the thing about, like, even if you're a big quarterback that can absorb those hits. Like, back in the day when I played, like, we had this quarterback kind of similar playing style. He would He's just bigger and stronger than everybody. He just mowed through people. He didn't like to slide either. And our coach would always tell him, like, just because you can do it doesn't mean you need to always do that. Like, you need to take those senseless hits out of your game, because one of these times you're going to get clocked, or something may happen where you get a low shot and all of a sudden you hurt yourself. So just because you can do it doesn't mean you have to do it every single play. You have to do it in meaningful situations, whether it's a third and got to have it, fourth and got to have it, or you're near the end zone. It's something like that. You don't need to be doing it on 1st and 10 at the ball when the ball's in midfield. Like, there's no sense in that.
So we'll keep an eye on that. If something comes down while we're on this morning, we'll let you know. It's funny too, because when I went over to Twitter, the first thing I see that's trending right now, Cam Newton. Is there even a
let the man be, man?
is there even a shot of that? I
don't even know. I've seen it too, and if Cam wants to play, I hope that he gets his opportunity. I really do. But at the end of the day, like, we've seen Cam not be at his best, and I said this at the end of last year. I can probably speak for a lot of people in saying that we don't want to see Cam back out there not be at his best, and then everyone remember him for that last 2 to 3 years that he tried to play, and it wasn't the Cam Newton you all remember.
Right, exactly.
You want to have that good memory of what Cam Newton was. I don't think you need to go out there and ruin that and put some staleness on it.
And now it's been 2 straight seasons where he hadn't played. So I even saw Jamel Hill mention Colin Kaepernick needs to get a call. And I'm like, Colin Kaepernick?
It's been like a decade.
Yeah. Colin Kaepernick hasn't even suited up in 7 years. Like,
I think the most realistic thing would be Tom Brady. I mean, he just last year. So.
Oh, God, here we go.
I'm just saying.
I was waiting. I was looking at the clock. I was like, how long?
But I wonder.
Mention Tom Brady.
Now, obviously,
man,
he's with the Raiders.
Tom would be the funniest football player in history, along with one of the best, obviously the best quarterback in history.
Can he do
but with him, yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. With him being a minority owner with the Raiders, I don't know if he would. I'm sure he would have to sell that stake. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's worth it.
His Fox deal doesn't start until he decides it starts. So
wouldn't it just be nice to have $300 million just waiting on you? I'll take it here in a couple of years. Like,
when I decide to finally stop doing all the other fun stuff I'm doing and just sit here and talk on the camera all day and make $30 million a year.
Maybe Ben Roethlisberger. You don't need him to do a whole lot. And let's be honest, the Jets have a lot more playmakers than the Steelers did in his last year.
They got a damn good defense too. Like
he can absorb the hits from the offensive line. We know that, but
running the ball.
That year off, man. That year off.
Talking ourselves in the Big Ben and the Jets. Wow, it's 9:55 in the morning.
Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. Stick to Zach Wilson. But I'm just saying, if they are interested, that's probably more realistic than a Cam Newton or Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Zach Wilson is the play. He's the second string. He was listed as a second string for a reason. Yeah. Whenever you have a depth chart, it's set for a reason. They wanted someone else that was going to be in there to come start. They would have replaced Zach Wilson with that guy already.
If Andy Dalton is somebody that the Jets are interested in.
Ooh, now would you do? Yeah.
But that's a tough situation, because if you're in the event Bryce would go down.
I wouldn't do anything with our depth chart. We need depth. We need to keep our depth. We need to keep our structure. We need to keep all our vets where they are right now. Like, let's not mess with that. Let's continue this road of development.
I had Schuyler's voice in my head watching our game Sunday.
I feel bad for you.
Because the main thing you've been hammering home the past couple of weeks with us is that the main issue this team's going to have is depth. Like, and we refuse to believe you, or we just didn't want to hear you or anything.
Yeah, we didn't want to hear you. We was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
First game, we're about to count the Falcons.
But as I watched that game, I was just like, dang, like we are thin. Like I haven't gotten an update. Have you gotten an update on JC Horn yet in terms of status?
No, we'll probably hear tomorrow from Frank, but it doesn't sound like I mean, again, I don't want to be putting speculation out there, but I would be very shocked if he played on Monday night. I mean,
it looked like hamstring, and it was non-contact.
Yeah, hamstrings are tough to come back from. I mean, DJ Shark's been dealing with his for, I don't know, since middle of August, and it's almost middle of September. So if that gives you any sort of timeline, I mean, I don't want to, again, start speculation, but this could be a thing where he could end up on IR. It just depends on the severity of it and how they evaluate the timeline. So we'll probably know tomorrow.
Yeah, you're definitely at 4 to 6 weeks for completion of a complete healing.
And that's something you do not want to rush back from.
Yeah. So
you can have a lot of setbacks.
So you're dealing with Dante Jackson and CJ Henderson at cornerback, and we're going to chop. Yeah, Troy Hill actually played all right.
Well, he made a couple plays,
yeah. CJ Henderson did not.
No.
We're kind of holding the Panthers stuff because one of the reasons why we decided to start doing this on Tuesdays is because fellas, I did it again right after the game on Sunday. I got on Facebook, started poking around, went to some of these.
I've been warning them for years.
Man, it was wow. Fire Frank Wright, trade Bryce Young. Let's get into the Shadur Sanders sweepstakes. All this, I'm like, it is one game.
Nonsense.
It is September. It is one game, and we've abandoned this entire thing. It's like they just feel like the coaching staff doesn't have the ability to adjust. And I'm like, that's kind of, isn't that why we brought this staff here? It was because we thought.
I really hate to bring this up because there has been some really good football teams here in Carolina, and I'm not taking anything away from what Cam and Stu and all those guys did, Luke, TD. But if we're looking at the totality of this thing, since the franchise has been around, and David Tepper talked about this, that they have to install a winning culture here. There's been some really good football teams that have made it very far, but let's not be fooled. Let's not fool ourselves here. This isn't the San Francisco 49ers that have been and won 5 or 6 Super Bowls, and the Pittsburgh Steelers that won 6 Super Bowls. You have to build that up. The fans' expectations are as if they are the 49ers, Cowboys, or Steelers. That's not where the expectations should lie. You have to win, establish that culture before you can earn that respect around the league. That's why everyone else messes with you, Des, when all these Cowboys fans coming at you because they haven't earned that respect yet.
Yeah.
Let's tamper the expectations a little bit. One loss is not going to end the world. Okay, everyone's going to lose a game.
Yeah, it's almost like they expect them to be 17-0. I'm like,
one team's done it. That's it.
Yeah, ever.
We got 16 games left, so it's out there on the table to be 16-1. I'm just going to throw that out there too.
I saw a lot of emotion.
I made that bet last year with you that if the Panthers made the playoffs, I would shave my head.
Hey.
I will do it again. But this year, if the Panthers don't make the playoffs, Des on the season recap show has got to wear it too.
You got to wear a two?
Yeah, a little two.
What's a two?
What is that?
A toupee.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
toupee.
Oh.
If they do what? If they make the playoffs?
If they don't. Yeah.
And if they do, you're going to shave your head and your eyebrows.
Yes. Oh, I got to keep something here. I mean, good Lord.
Don't do that to his wife now. Like, come home, like what?
And you got to eat
like an alien.
And you got to eat a tub of mayonnaise.
I just saw that on Twitter, like a mayonnaise eeating contest. These two dudes going at it.
I tell you, I hate mayonnaise, bro. I hate mayonnaise.
I know I'm getting old because the older I get, the more I like
Duke's mayonnaise bowl, Duke's mayo bowl. Oh, Lord have mercy.
You see the dude just pouring it all over him at the college game day? I mean, dear Lord.
Oh, yo, speaking of college game day.
Do you believe?
Our boy
yes,
Dion,
I believe.
Our boy Dion, man, 2-0, and that's gonna be our new little tag here.
Do you believe?
Thanks, Dion.
I'm a little sour about that, by the way, because I'm going up to the backyard brawl this week, and that was supposed to be where game day was going.
Oh, they're not going to Colorado yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you look around the whole landscape of college football this weekend, there's not a more intense game than the backyard brawl. But yet they're going to Colorado State. And don't get me wrong, I love Dion, I love Prime. But they got USC at home in 2 weeks. They could have waited.
I don't care.
They could have waited.
Can't wait. You got to track Dion everywhere he goes. Because
this is must see TV now. Like
listen, Dion's a winner.
Yeah.
Period.
Like
he's the best listen, we talking about a coach that at one point in time it could be considered it might be one of the best athletes to ever touch the the earth.
I've always said him and Bo Jackson are kind of like right there for me in terms of two dudes that could do pretty much whatever they wanted to on whatever field. But
like when you say you're gonna do something and you do it, like what's more of a man code than that?
Oh,
this dude's a man, bro.
Haskell Shelton asked, "Do 3-0 Ducks beat 3-0 Colorado?" I think that's
man, look, we're gonna talk about that when we come. But look, I'm gonna tell you, the Ducks, if they lose, like because of Deion and Colorado and everything that Deion stands for, like it's hard to bet against Deion.
Yeah,
it's hard to do that.
It's
hard to go. It's hard to be against it because he's doing so much good for these kids. He went to Colorado and told the kids that were there, the first time these kids probably heard any honesty in their life. Get in the transfer portal so that way you can actually go play football somewhere else because you're not playing here. I'm not going to draw you. I'm not going to drag this thing out. I'm not going to make it to where you might have wishful thinking. No, I want you to play, but just not here. Go in the transfer portal because we coming. And then he brought his boys and he told them, hey, look, get on the train because we got somewhere to go. We got somewhere to be. We coming. And then, as you hear he say, we here. And clearly, this man is here. He is arrived. I'm all for it. So, Ducks, Colorado, I hope my Ducks pull it out. But if they don't, I'm going to be back here kicking it.
What I'm interested in seeing is how long it takes for all of college football, whether it's analysts or fans, to kind of get past this narrative of Shedeur is just Deion's kid and that he is actually Shedeur Sanders, who is a damn good football player. Like, how long is that going to take?
I hate when they call Schuyler Sanders' other son. Like, they don't even call him Schuyler.
They're
like Sanders' other kid made a play. I'm like, come on, man. He's got a name. Like, they ain't both just Deion's kids. Like, and Shedeur is playing. Is Shedeur the Heisman favorite right now?
I would still say Caleb Williams right now, but yeah, I mean, Shedeur's right there.
He's got to be like right there. Like and
Shedeur versus Caleb Williams in 2 weeks is going to be.
That's going to be nasty.
And that's at Colorado too. Like that is going to be. College game day's got to be there for that one if they're both undefeated going in.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. By that point, Colorado's probably in the top 10 if they're undefeated. They're 18th this week. If they got Colorado State this week and then that Oregon game. If they get to Oregon and they're undefeated and beat Oregon, they'll be in the top 10 like that week. Like the media, the sports media, they love a story like this where they can gravitate to a team that's got personalities like this and just push them to the moon. This is what I was saying the other week, that like they kind of remind me of 0405 USC, like not as talented. I'm not talking like that. Just the buzz.
I mean,
with the
no
buzz,
disrespect.
No
disrespect to Stu, but I mean the Pac-12 has been trash for years, and it's funny
it's
how
been
all of a sudden
trash.
This
all
year.
of a sudden this year, where it's
The last year,
and there's just banned
and popping
going on with a bang. Y'all got like what is it, like 6 teams in the top 25 this week, I think. So, man, like just what? And of course, the 2 Pac-12 teams left: Oregon State and Washington State. Is that what it is?
Washington State beat they beat someone in the SEC last week, I think.
Yeah, I think they might be ranked now. Oregon State's ranked. Like
Oregon State's playing well. Yeah, I mean, it's top to bottom, man. It's
everybody
except for Stanford. Stanford got boat raced by somebody. I can't remember who it was.
USC.
USC.
Yeah. So we'll keep.
Hey man, Caleb Williams look out there making them boys look like they were statues.
Hey, shout out to Tampa for screwing up the tank for Caleb Williams sweepstakes by winning on Sunday. I don't think anybody expected Baker Mayfield to come out and do what he did, but hey.
Do you believe?
That's what he told us.
Hey, good job. Shout out to Baker Mayfield, man. Like he left the Panthers, went to the Rams, started balling. He got him a job in Tampa. I just hope and pray that the Panthers do what they're supposed to do when it's our turn to play them.
Let's get okay. So we've made y'all wait long enough. We've gone about 28 minutes into it. We got through everything we want. Aaron Rodgers, Deion, all of that. Let's go ahead and dig into this. Panthers and Falcons. 24-10 was the final. Do yourself a favor and go back and rewatch that game if you have not, because if you're just kind of looking at the box score and you're like, man, the Panthers lost by 2 touchdowns. To me, that's just a very uninformed fan. Like if you watched the game, it was pretty tight all the way through the fourth quarter, pretty much. And to me, it all came down to turnovers. Like, if we don't have the 3 turnovers, that's a completely different game. And when they happen and where they happen. And I count in the first quarter, that first drive, when they went all the way down, that 4th and 1 that they didn't convert, that play call was just weird for 4th and 1. Just line up and lean on the, the defensive line. I mean, it's a yard. Like, every NFL line to me should be able to get 1 yard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all 32 teams, I don't care how bad you are. But
yeah, I questioned it when it happened. I was like, why did you not go under center here? It's 4th and 1. Like,
and it was like a weird formation. They were doing some kind of weird diamond looking thing. And Chuba looked like he thought a hole was going to be there when he got the ball, and it wasn't. And he didn't know enough to kick it out. He could have just kicked it to the outside and probably got there, but he still ran into the line. He ran into it anyway. And we didn't I count that as a 4th turnover because of where it happened. We would have went up 7-0. Instead, it flipped momentum. Falcons go back the other way. The two Bryce interceptions. You know what? I'll let you guys talk about those interceptions first before I go into them, because that was the thing that was getting me frustrated going into Facebook groups. People talking about his size and stuff like that. Those interceptions had nothing to do with his height. Like,
no,
he just got schemed. To me, like, they just schemed. They put a robber out there, and he basically scammed him, and it almost same interception twice.
Bates knew it, and he said in the post game that, like, with no vertical threat in this game, aka DJ Chark, they were going to have to throw a lot over the middle and short. So he was ready. He was anticipating those throws. So that first one, I don't really put the blame on. I put the blame on Bryce, but it was just a really good play, I think, by Jesse Bates. But the second one, Bryce admitted it. He's like, I can't just make assumptions based off coverages. So when you do that, that just tells you right then and there, he was just trying to fit something in that really wasn't there. And you could see from the press box angle at Mercedes-Benz is really weird. We're like in the corner of the end zone facing that way toward the play. And you could see it the whole way coming. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a pick. And sure enough, Jesse jumps it again. But I mean, hey, hats off to him. I think he, I don't know if they announced it yet, but I mean, he's got to be defensive player of the week, right? 3 turnovers.
Probably. Yeah. I'd imagine for the NFC, the dude from the Jets got to be the one in the AFC, I would imagine. So I'm looking at the box score, and the Panthers led passing yards, rushing yards, time of possession. They had the ball like 10 minutes longer than the Falcons did. And I was thinking turnovers. It's just turnovers.
It's all turnovers.
I got into an argument with a guy online about it. He was like, well, you can't just, if this and that happened, then this would happen. I'm like, well, literally, that's what happened. Like, if they don't turn the ball over 3 times, they don't give up 17 points probably. And Carolina probably wins a rock fight. Yeah,
I'm sure they scored 17 points on the turnovers, right?
They did. Yep.
And so, I mean, when you talk
2
about
of it short field,
when you talk about turnovers, especially in a short field, that's a momentum shift. It's not just giving the ball to the other team; it's giving them momentum. And so, like a division rivalry game, like, you don't want to do those types of things, and we all know that it happened, and that's what I account this loss to. I don't really necessarily think the Falcons are all of that. Their quarterback, man, what? If I'm the Falcons, I'm hoping and praying that the quarterback was like sleep or something.
Now Desmond was 15 for 18, but only for 115 yards.
Yeah, he was out there. He was out there throwing the ball scared.
In fact, it's so easy. It reminds me of a joke my mate.
Geico getting a free ad in here.
Geico. Make sure y'all get y'all Geico insurance.
Just shoved it in there.
It's not Gecko, it's Geico.
Didn't Ritter have like 24 yards or something at the half passing? Like, I mean, the defense was doing their job. Like, and it felt like the same script where, like, the past 3 or 4 years, the Panthers defense kind of keeps them in all these games. And by the time you get to the 4th quarter, they just look wore out. And, like, that's usually when that other team kind of puts that nail in the coffin. This just felt like 2 teams that are going to be around 500 the whole year, that both still have deficiencies, both still have depth issues, but they both have strength. They're just not matching strengths. And we kind of saw, like, you was right about Bijan Robinson.
Hey, Desmond, if you don't pause whatever that is.
What?
There is something
She
going
has
on
another
in
house
in
in
the
Malibu.
Oh, I can't hear
She's
anything.
been
Are
an
you still hearing
astronaut,
something?
an architect,
Oh, yeah.
CEO.
We're in front of her house.
It's the ESPN. There you go.
Let's take it off. Let's
Yeah.
just do it. Sorry.
Yes.
It wasn't I muted it on my side. So like I muted the tab. So it wasn't even playing for me anymore. Not bad.
I mean, I thought Carolina was in the game all the way until they got backed up at the 1. And then at that point, you just kind of knew, unless they hit on that deep ball to Mingo, it was going to be tough sledding from there
was
because
that the one
Atlanta was going to have wide open or short field. And yeah.
Was that the one with the horse collar tackle?
Yeah.
Like right there at the goal?
I still don't understand that. And I'm with Frank because when we saw it in the box, I thought it would just be a re-kick or repunt.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what happens if, say, Amir returns that to midfield? They just give him the ball at midfield? Like, I don't understand that. So why would it go to where the ball was spotted at? Like, I don't. And I think Frank said something about that. The way it was explained to him was that because it was 2 personal fouls. But again, that doesn't make sense. And this is going off topic here, but I mean, we kind of talked about it back in the preseason a little bit too when it happened. Fumbling the ball through the back of the end zone is a ridiculous rule too. I mean, those are 2 things that could change games. Yeah. So I don't know why the ball was spotted at the 1 there. I think you just call it a wash and re-kick the play or redo the play.
Yeah, that would be the logical thing to do. So I was surprised when it almost looked like they penalized us and not the Falcons.
Yeah, because where's the penalization from Atlanta?
They got
goes away.
Yeah, so that was confusing. I didn't understand that, and yeah, you're right. That was kind of the point of the game where I'm like, all right, we did have a long drive earlier in the game, but it was kind of a mixture. It felt like the game that Frank Wright was calling was the right game to call for the game. It was a lot of short passes, moving the chains. They ran really well. They ran for I took it down. It was like 100 and something yards.
Chuba
played really well.
That may have been Chuba Hubbard's best game.
That was a good sign. That was a really good sign.
In these holes, like he knew where things were going to open up, setting up blocks. Listen, like the inside, like the inside shoulder, like setting up blocks with his offensive lineman. Like, you don't know how crucial it is for a running back to be able to set up blocks. An offensive lineman doing his job, and you set him up to finish it, like offensive linemen thrive on that. And so the offensive line, they did a great job blocking, but kudos to Chuba. Yeah, I agree with you, Schuyler. This was definitely one of his best games. I have to go back to, the Detroit Lions game as his best game to me.
Yeah.
It was cold and the opportunity was there to run all over Detroit, but you still have to do it. So, but man, one of the things I said last week was I want to see them rush for more yards, and they did that. Against a team that is actually, they quote unquote tried to build themselves to be a run team. And yes, they did run the ball on us for 130 yards, but we finished the game with 154.
Right.
So I appreciate y'all for, listening to your boy and go ahead and, do what it do in the run game.
And that's the biggest thing with backs. And Stu knows all about this. Like, if you can't pass protect, it's hard to become a 3-down back in the league.
Yeah, he did a great job pass protection as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that's been one of the biggest knocks on him since he came to the league. So to see him make that step in week 1, that's great signs, especially when you need to have depth at that position.
Definitely probably kudos to Deuce Staley for that too, coaching him up.
Yes. Sanders had 72 yards on 18 carries. Chuba had 60 yards on 9 carries. What happened? Where did Laviska Shenault go? Like, he was out there first half. They were using him, and then it felt like they just forgot they had him in the second half. They didn't really use him at all, like in anything.
It looked like he was going to be heavily featured at first.
That
fizzled out.
That kind of Swiss Army knife joker role that actually Cordell Patterson was supposed to play. He was out, so he didn't play.
Again, it's hard to utilize a player like that when you don't have a deep threat. So
yes, and that actually brings us to our Tell the Truth Tuesday. What was something you saw from the Panthers that you did not expect to see, good or bad, from Sunday? Stu, I'll start off with you. Tell the Truth Tuesday.
Well, I didn't expect to see Bryce throw 2 picks.
Same guy.
Same
spot.
Same guy. But I'm not concerned about it, and nor should the rest of the Panther Nation be concerned. I think he has a great opportunity Monday Night Football to come out and really showcase, what he's learned from his first regular season NFL football game. And so I think we bounce back. But I was definitely surprised to see that. Yeah, that's an obvious, but I'm gonna go ahead and say the obvious.
Schuyler, your Tell the Truth Tuesday.
I'll go with what we just talked about in Chuba. I mean, I didn't expect that. I mean, especially because it's been kind of quiet regarding him in the preseason because he was in and out of camp and had some injuries. But for him to kind of show up and have that game, I didn't expect him to be essentially the most efficient running back on the field for the Panthers on Sunday. So Sanders had some runs, but to me, it felt like Chuba was more consistent in this game all the way around. And that one caught me by surprise. I did not expect that at all because I had even said, I think maybe a week or two ago, I don't know what the staff really thinks of Chuba because, we've been hearing so much about Miles being RB1, and again, he had been hurt, so we don't really know what he looks like in this offense. And then all of a sudden, he comes out and shuts everybody up, including myself. So there you go.
For me, I think after watching that game, and I saw a pass chart for Bryce Young for that game, and it was kind of like where it's all like within 10 yards, basically. To me, that had to be by design. They came into that game with that game plan, and they kind of stuck to it. And honestly, if you watch the game, it was 10-10, like start of the fourth quarter, I think it was. So it was a kind of a rock fight between the two teams. My Tell the Truth Tuesday is that I don't think, and Schuyler, you've said this before, I don't think that there's a number one receiver on this roster. Now, that doesn't mean they can't win football games. You can win a football game without a number one wide receiver. There's really only, we really want to tell the truth, there's really only like 10 number one receivers in the entire league. Like really like the name, I'm a number one, like a Tyreek Hill. That's a number one wide receiver.
Tyreek Hill is alpha.
That is him. Like he is that guy. Now I don't know if we have anybody like that. If Chark is going to be our deep threat and he's dealing with a hamstring, that's a problem. Like y'all mentioned at the beginning of the episode, those things linger. So if we're waiting on him to get back to be able to get out there to be the deep threat, that means we need a second deep threat. We need another guy. And it brings me back to them cutting Shi Smith. Like it felt like he could have been the one that at least maybe tried to take the top off of the defense, but we didn't even try. As far as I think we had a couple of shots downfield where he had to go, and then he had Marshall like on one, but
Shi's just not consistent enough. I mean, he can run, but I don't know that he's somebody that can consistently make plays downfield. Like I think that's still, you're waiting on DJ for that, but I'll just throw this out there.
You also have Damiere Byrd too.
Yeah.
Right? Like Damiere Byrd messed up his hamstring as well. So I think we tried to address the speed dynamic there. It's just those guys too fast. They
they ran out their legs.
Yeah, they ran up out of their legs.
The jarring thing for me, though, I think at the end of that game was a reality type moment. Like we picked the Panthers collectively to go 10-7. This is not a 10-win team. Like I don't know what they're gonna be. It's not a 10-win team. It's not through their own fault. They're just like
you're supposed to tell one truth, Desmond.
I'm sorry, man. I'm in my heart today. Like I had to sleep on it. Like
about to
you know
put
what?
A sock in your mouth.
They still can make the playoffs. They still can win this division. But like, are they a double-digit win team? I don't think so. They're losing games like this.
Win, shawty, 10 win, shawty.
You lose games you're supposed to win. Like they have that vibe. They're going to win games they're not supposed to win. They're going to lose games they're not supposed to lose. And I think we all picked them to beat the Falcons in this game. I'm still picking them to beat the Saints.
You're overreacting. Overreaction Monday or
dude,
Tuesday.
Our number one cornerback's probably going to be out for a while. We don't have a deep threat at wide receiver. Having said all that, we still have talent. We still have stuff there. We're just like a draft or two away from giving Bryce what he needs. I look at Tua in Miami. This is what, year 3 for Tua? How long did it take them to really get everything around him? Like, you know, it took a couple of drafts. It took them paying $25 million to get Tyreek Hill.
It's gonna take a while to be great,
Yeah,
You can still get 10.
and that's
wins
the
this year.
temper expectations part that I'm at. Like,
I'll throw this out there on September 12th, 2023, because it's a way, way, way long ways away. But T. Higgins might be a name you want to keep an eye on next offseason because he and the Bengals apparently are not
They're not seeing eye to eye.
Yeah, on a
that
contract. So
yeah.
And Clemson kid makes sense. You need a go-to guy.
Jersey sales.
Can't keep them both, right? When you just gave Joe Burrow like $250 million, like you got to let.
You're going to have to pay Jamar soon too.
If I'm these quarterbacks, I'm looking at the salary situation. I'm saying, man, I gotta at least share some money with my dogs.
Isn't that what I thought? That was what one of these quarterbacks that just signed. Wasn't that the thing they were saying that they wanted? It was Mahomes. Mahomes was saying he signed a friendly deal. Friendly, $450 million 10 years.
He still makes $300 million outside of football.
Yeah, and he get a chance to re-up like in a next year or two. Like he gets to go back in there and redo that deal again. So like he's just flipping guaranteed money at this point, like every 3 years, and every time the market resets, now he can go in there and get what's Burrow's average, like 57 million, something like that. He can go in now and be like, give me 63.
Like, all right, listen, I'm going back to these Panthers, man. Everybody chill out. Yeah. I know we got depth issues. We got issues. There's a lot of teams that got issues though after week 1. Let me go through this list, okay? Browns, Bengals. Who won that game?
Browns.
Who was supposed to win that game?
Bengals.
Okay. Jaguars, Colts. Jaguars won that game. They were supposed to win that. And Vikings, Buccaneers. Who was supposed to win that game?
Vikings.
Kirkers.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins.
Buccaneers won that game. Saints, Titans. Who was supposed to win that game?
That one, I don't even. That one's kind of a toss a coin. Like we were down on both.
That was a free for all, huh? Yeah. That was a free for all.
Both could lose, as far as we care. Like
flip the coin.
Flip the coin. Who cares? Hopefully, Titans beat the Saints, but they didn't.
They did not.
49ers, Steelers. Who won that game?
That was an eye opener.
49ers are probably the best team in the NFL, by the way.
I think they are. I think they are.
Because they beat the brakes off the Steelers. Like
even look, how many times have you seen Mike Tomlin in a post-game press conference with just nothing really to say? Like he's just like, we just got destroyed.
Yeah, man, like, they just got destroyed. First week, got side swap.
All aspects of the
game. Commanders, Cardinals.
Commanders. The Cardinals
okay.
Fire. Like,
But I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one thing though. The Cardinals was putting up a fight. What? In the first 3 quarters?
It's week 1. They'll get that will beaten out of them eventually. They know. They know what's going on.
All right. Ravens, Texans. We knew the Ravens were going to win that.
Hey.
Packers, Bears.
Packers.
We found out about Jordan Love. Raiders, Broncos.
I'm glad the Broncos
the Raiders. Who's the quarterback for the Raiders?
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G, baby.
Buffalo.
Who was supposed to win that?
I would say probably the Broncos, but
whoever the home team was, probably.
Well, the Raiders won that. Jimmy G. Patriots, Eagles.
It should have been Eagles convincingly.
Okay.
It was not convincing.
But it wasn't convincingly.
No.
Yeah.
Patriots did the thing.
Dolphins, Chargers.
Now that was a fun game. Yeah. That could go either way.
Really, yeah.
The Dolphins.
All right. The Seahawks and the Rams. We forgot about them damn Rams.
We picked the Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl, didn't we? No, we didn't. We
almost.
We got them in the NFC Championship game.
Man, listen. All right, we got to do more predictions. We'll do like that was our first quarter prediction. We're gonna do 2. We're gonna have 4 quarters of predictions this year. So that was our first quarter prediction. At the second quarter, we have another prediction.
Oh my gosh, because that was I was gonna come in here.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad.
Because both of y'all were like, look, okay, these 2 guys right here convinced me Dallas was gonna be horrible. They go out and drop a 40 burger
They
and
still
leave
will.
a donut for dessert for the Giants. They picked the Giants to win the division. We got the Giants as
Don't get sucked into
two
it.
seed.
Des.
Yeah,
This
man.
happens every year.
Listen,
We
it
got the
was
Giants
raining
as 2.
outside. Some guys just don't like the rain, man.
But I thought about it the whole night. I was like, watching it like, this looks like a kid like getting bullied at school. Like this looks really bad.
They
And
just
like
didn't
they got a
the
whole
rain
half.
like that.
They got a whole half.
Hey, I'll tell you why I'm mad.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
New York Football Giants, what are y'all doing keeping Daniel Jones in the game? What are y'all doing? Like, get him out of the game. You got 16 games left. You ain't proven no points out there on that new turf where people can, like, I don't know what that feels like out there. It looks like it's probably springy and all kind of stuff. Got the specks of rubber in guys' eyes in the rain. Like, listen. Get that man out of the game. If you are down 40 points at any point later in the season, do not do this again. Get him out of the game.
He dreamed of Michael Parsons the whole night. Like when he went home and went to sleep, Michael Parsons was just terrorizing him.
You know what's so funny? You know what's so funny is we've been talking about it, and everyone has all off season. This could be a New York Super Bowl. And then look what happens in the first week of the dang season.
That is not. That's
oh
not
my god!
That just goes to show you, man. Like all these, the experts, the analysis, all the stuff we do, looking at last season, looking at stats, who they brought on the roster.
None of it matters, man.
Nothing, man. Once they put the
none
ball
of
in there.
look. If you getting on here for our professional prediction, if you really going out there and using this to your like betting,
go to Bet Online. If you're going over to Bet Online after you're done here.
Shame on you, because especially going into the season, don't nobody know nothing.
We don't know anything.
Okay, we don't know nothing. But I can tell you this: on that second quarter of the season, these predictions are gonna get nice and tight.
Yeah, we're gonna be good to go. Soon
we'll be buttoned up by then.
Yeah, we just gotta get a little
buttoned up by then. So you know, when you need to make your fantasy football drafts and or your trades later on in the season, we'll give you some advice.
We're in learning season right now.
Exactly. This is our preseason. We're using this is our preseason. Like the Patriots used to do. They take the first 4 games. That's kind of their real preseason. This is our preseason. JT says maybe 4 quarterbacks look good week 1. Every other quarterback struggle. Let's talk about it. The offense is always behind the first couple of weeks. I think that's every level, isn't it? High school, college, pro. Usually the defenses are way ahead in the first month.
Except for Tues threw for like freaking 400 yards.
It helps when you got a receiver that is alpha and omega.
Tyreek Hill is just running under footballs. Like I don't know if I've ever seen this, but maybe Randy Moss, but like he's doing it in a way where like Tua is just throwing it. He's just throwing it down the field.
Like, oh, it's over to the left. Let me go over there.
He just runs underneath it, and like he looks like he's running like at a different speed than everybody else. Like
it's like a cartoon, bro. It's like a cartoon.
You know what Mike McDaniel's game plan is every week? He writes it on the board. It's just number 1, get Tyreek the ball.
That's a good plan.
That's all you gotta do.
Hey, it's gonna work. And it's crazy too, because you think about if he had stayed in Kansas City, that wouldn't have just been not fair, because he's getting better like without Pat Mahomes. Like this is just nuts to me what they're doing. And we did put Miami into our playoffs, so we didn't overlook them, but I don't think we thought they could win the conference or the division. And I think the
Miami Dolphins in my second quarter are going to be high on my list.
Yeah, I think for me too. Now, again,
on the interim report card,
this could be an overreaction.
Do you believe?
I kind of believe in
it.
I kind of believe in it all from what I saw. Like if they're going to do that, or at least a portion of that in every game, they're going to be good to go. Other quarterbacks that played well this past week. I'm trying to think of who else had a good game. Didn't Herbert had a good game in that loss, didn't he?
Yeah, Herbert had a good game. Jordan Love had a good game.
Jordan Love. You know who?
Anthony Richardson had a good game.
He did. He had a for the 3 rookies. He probably had the best out of the 3. I want to say Jared Goff had a good game. Detroit. He was pretty good. From what I remember. He seemed like it seemed like he was
he's still the number pick in like 900 years of everything.
He's really good. He's actually really good. Like wasn't he the number 1 overall pick the year he came out? We've kind of thrown him away with him in Detroit.
He did all right last year. He didn't play that well this past game though.
I mean, he played better than I expected him to. Maybe I should have said it that way. Like I was surprised. I was surprised. I was like, wow, Jared Goff's out here.
He managed the game really well.
Yeah.
And so did Baker Mayfield manage the game pretty well. But
y'all said I was crazy when I said the Bucks may be better than everyone thinks. But.
Yeah, I still don't think
we,
they're very
we called
good.
you crazy.
Yeah, I don't think.
But it is
good.
week one. It is week one. I
It's week
still
one.
may be crazy.
Yeah, overreaction.
Let's see. Before we get out of here, because we got a couple minutes, one preview real quick. The Saints, and really, it's so early in the year. Did you see any of the highlights from Saints and Titans? Like, I wasn't impressed by either one.
That's on my docket today.
Okay, I don't think the Saints. They're 1-0, which is great, good for them. But I'm not going into this Monday night game thinking that it's a daunting task to beat Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints. Like,
We just got to not turn the ball over.
yeah, just don't give it to them. Don't give them the ball when we have
I
it.
think they got like Tannehill threw maybe three
picks.
See, it's just turnovers.
You can't win games like that, especially when you got a dang tank in the backfield.
If you
Derrick Henry.
If you force 3 turnovers and only score 16 points and win by 1, that should be all you need to know about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same with the Falcons and us. Like that game, they should have won 30 something to 10, like with the 3 where we gave them to them. They did score on those, but shout out to the Carolina defense, because in my mind, they really only gave up 7 points like the whole day. And that was at the end in the fourth quarter where they were just kind of gassed. And shout out to Brian Burns. I want everybody that's out there that was all like, Brian Burns disappeared in the second half or whatever. You do not know what football is.
Second half adjustments are having to be made.
I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
The Atlanta head coach came out at the end of the game and was like, we schemed away from Brian Burns in the second half.
Yeah.
Like, he was a terror. He had a sack and a half, 7 tackles, a bunch for loss. They could not defend him. They could not defend Brian Burns. And all of a sudden, there's fans like, oh, well, why did you do that in the second half? It's because they ran away from him. They literally ran the other way and kept him out of plays. And
Desmond,
that man for playing without the contract extension too.
what do you do when you got a dog on a leash or off a leash?
I mean, it's my dog. My dog.
If you have a dog off a leash, you either run away, or you tell the owner, or go find the owner, and you put him back in his cage. Okay.
I don't know what
Brian Burns was a dog in the first half. So you have to put that man in a cage.
Yeah.
And that's what they did second half. They had to make a lot of adjustments to make sure that man was not on the loose.
What the Giants did not do with Micah Parsons in the second
they
half.
should have put Micah Parsons in the cage immediately in the first quarter. They should have did that out the gate. Like, hey, look, we're going into the game and we're putting him in the cage.
They did not. They failed. And Burn. I loved his post game. I listened to his post game, and he was just basically like, God's with me. I'm not worried about getting hurt. I think Vashti from Carolina Blitz asked him, "What are your plans for the season?" He's like, "I'm playing. I'm here." Like, he's under contract. He's getting $16 million for the year, so he's gonna play. But before we get out of here, real quick, Schuyler, have you gotten any updates on? Are they still negotiating, or has that tapered off since the season started? Or
so he didn't really get into specifics of, but my sense around it is that they probably still are talking, but I don't think there's going to be anything done anytime soon. I think I said it from the beginning that it would shock me if anything happened before the end of the season. I think this will go into the offseason. Unfortunately for him, you want to see a guy like of his caliber get paid before something potentially could happen. But I mean, yeah, he was a different guy, man. Like, and he's kind of been like that in the locker room like the last week, and you just see him in there. And I know he wasn't going to talk to anybody, but he would just sit in his locker and just sit there and eat his food and just kind of mind his business. And even if he doesn't talk to media, he's still joking around, being this, exuberant guy that just a joy to be around. And it's just like he was so locked into whatever he was thinking about. And that's probably all the struggles that he had been talking about mentally that he was going through with all this. And, Justin Houston told him to just cut the world off, talk to God. And that's what he did. So, and he felt like a different player on game day after that game. Very humble. He just felt like it's almost like he flipped the switch and he's like a new guy. Mm-hmm. And it's a good new. It's not that the old Brian Burns was bad by any means, but it just seems like this guy is more humble about the situation. Not that he wasn't before, but he just understands the business side of it. And he understands that no matter what, things are going to happen the way they're supposed to happen. And you like to see that.
Every week they wait to pay that man, his price goes up. Because if he's going to play like that every week,
if he gets 15 to 20 sacks,
That's Bosa money. You're gonna get Bosa money, like because I saw their stats side by side for.
He could get more than Bosa.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that to try and be a
that's real
clickbaity
talk.
person here, but I mean, let's be honest.
Because he does more than Bosa. Let's be real. Like he actually will cover. He'll go out and flat and cover. Like running backs going out, he can get sacks. He defends the run. Bosa's really more of a sack guy. Burns can do a couple more things than Bosa can do, in my opinion. Now, does that mean he gets paid? What did Bosa get? 30 something per? 32?
34 a year on average. Yeah.
34. I mean, are we seriously talking about Brian Burns getting like 36, 30 for a defensive end? I mean, he's their best player. Is he not our best player on the roster?
He is the best player on the roster.
Pay him. Pay that man. Like, there's no reason for this to keep going on. Every time.
What's the two positions you play, or the three positions you pay in the NFL? Quarterback, left tackle, defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
Pay him. And then
or pass rusher.
Cornerback right after that. Like, that's wide receivers creeping up there now too. But yeah, pay that man.
I'm gonna say all year, and you pay the ball carriers.
Yes, pay them too, because they're touching the rock 25 a quarter of the game. Like, I mean, they deserve to get the money too. We got to get out of here. It's Tuesday morning. All three of us got all kinds of stuff going on. I didn't see anything official drop regarding Aaron Rodgers, but
he's hurt.
He's hurt, and they're already talking about bringing in somebody else. So we're pretty sure that that it's going to probably be a season-ending injury when they do finally announce. Probably about noon, they'll probably pop it up on the ESPN. So keep an eye on that. We'll be back next Tuesday, so we'll actually have almost immediate reactions after Monday Night Football, Panthers Saints. It's a 7:00 kick on ESPN. On ESPN. There's two Monday Night Football games that night. Another one's at 8:00. I can't remember who it is, but Panthers playing the Saints at 7 at Bank of America Stadium. Schuyler will be in the house. I don't know if Stu's going or not. I'm
gonna be I'm doing the keep pounding drum.
Oh, hey, okay.
I'm gonna try
breaking news.
Break that.
Try to break it.
So check out Stewart on the keep pounding drum. Home opener, first home game for Bryce Young and company, and Frank Wright and company as well. So it's just one game, guys. It's just one game. It was 3 turnovers. Just everybody relax. We got a long season to go. Don't burn it all out. Don't burn it all out. And in the immortal words of our guy Dion, is going to be with us all year.
Do you believe?
32 yes, teams, I believe.
32 teams. Everybody's got a former NFL player on it. Definitely check out the Bleav podcast network presented by Bet Online. We'll be back next Tuesday. Keep at it.